Okay, today we will be debating a specific work by the Spanish philosopher Jose Ortega, who was alive to the early middle 20th century. As a matter of fact, he actually was important in moving on to more atheistic existentialism rather than theological existentialism. The work that we'll be debating is Man is No Nature, which postulates man is responsible for building himself and his own actions. Basically that man consists of not what he is, but what he is yet to be, and therefore has no inherent nature. We will be debating our team over here. Mel and Keely will be arguing that man has no nature on Ortega's side, while Glenn will be arguing against Ortega's theory. So I'd like to begin with Keely and Mel's opening statement.
Humans are never bound to a single predetermined destiny. The reading stated that man is defined by what he makes of himself, which is determined by what he does on a day-to-day routine. Humans as a species are able to decide whatever they may choose to become. The human with an inherent nature is guided only by natural instinct and has no free will or thought to decide another destiny for themselves.
Okay.
I'm taking a contrary view to Ortega's statement that man has no nature. I believe that man can have a nature while simultaneously still being possessed of a free will, and that these two ideas do not mark mutual exclusivity.
Keely, please present your evidence.
Supporting evidence. Man is able to decide whatever he may become in life and has the opportunity to obtain this goal through any physical possible means necessary. My current desire is to graduate high school and move onward to college. This goal cannot be obtained by a means of inherent nature, but can be obtained by a desire or will as a human to complete this goal. Man is in the position to allow himself to decide whatever he wants in life, although the goal may be of lesser achievement than other individuals' goals. Animals in general have a nature in that their only focus is to survive in their environment. Although humans are animals and focus on survival, they set apart more important goals which define them as human. We have the power to decide whatever we may become. Society states that everyone should go to college, which could be considered an inherent nature of every individual within a system of education. This inherent nature does not exist, however, because the individual is allowed to decide not to go to college or even school in general.
Okay, humans create their own nature. Through our experiences, each individual creates a world for themselves. These worlds include things such as morals, values, and beliefs. Growing up in certain situations may influence these worlds, but above all, it is a choice that is up to the beholder, such as like the whole nature versus nurture concept, where certain things are going to influence you a lot, but above all, it's all your choice.
And I have one final example, or evidence. Man is not defined by nature. He is defined by his own free will to decide his own path for himself. Nature of the human is to set their standards of success above everyone else's. Humans as a species have the ability to decide their own fate and are not defined by this standard of success. Ortega states that man has to be himself in spite of unfavorable circumstances. That means he has to make his own existence at every single moment. This demonstrates how man is in fact undefinable by nature and is given limitless opportunities to thrive however he may please in the world.
Ortega gives an example of what he considers a thing that has a nature by saying the stone is given its existence. He is presenting this idea of an inanimate object being a natural thing, but that humans have a free will and are therefore preternatural. But he's presenting this as a dichotomous relationship, as these two things which are completely different from each other. But I think that this viewpoint is ignoring certain things about humans that make these two ideas reconcilable. For example, Ortega says that humans are a causa sui, a cause of itself, but not entirely. There are physical predeterminants And these are things within this reality that set binds or boundaries on exactly what humans can be. Like, these are what in physics are called physical constants, such like gravity, such like the speed of light. And throughout all these constants, it creates a kind of natural framework which we live in and which is partially responsible for the actions that we can take. In that this is a physical determinism in which everything that can happen has already been decided since the Big Bang. I'm not saying this is true, but I believe that to say that there is no causal relationships from a human and his environment, that the only thing determining what a person can do is his will, is a false idea. Because there are certain things that I can't decide to do. I can't just decide to do something physically impossible. And it are these kind of things which set boundaries on exactly what we can be. And that's what I believe is what should be called human nature.
Now we enter the question and answer section.
Ortega says that nature is to things, but history is to man. But I would like to know, why do you think that nature has either a negligible or non-existent impact on humans?
Okay. I think what Ortega is stating is that nature is to things in the manner that nature can't necessarily learn from itself, and therefore man is not defined by nature. However, history is something that man can learn from his past mistakes, and therefore history, in fact, can define man in his intent for the future. I have a question, and I would like to know exactly why you believe that man is connected to nature in a way that it allows him the impossibility to make decisions by any means necessary, or what he may see as needed.
Well, people often give this example of an inanimate object as something that isn't living and is entirely unhuman, as something that doesn't have a free will. And this is an argument that people make a lot in favor of what Ortega is arguing. They give an example of, you as a person can just decide to walk across the room, but the rock can't just decide to, turn like that. But this is taking a narrow view of nature, and if you look close enough, like at a quantum mechanical level, there are events which appear to be truly random. As in, there are events which don't appear to be caused by other events. They just happen. And this is similar to what we call free will in humans, how we might decide, even independent of external stimulus, to do something because that is what we will it to happen. And this is an example that I would like to give as how even in a framework that appears to be very rigid from a macroscopic point of view as nature, on a different scale there are things in nature that are so similar to this human idea of free will that I don't think that saying that human beings have a nature precludes the idea of us also having a will and being the cause of our own selves.
So I have another quick question. So what you're saying is that these quantum mechanical random occurrences may provide impetus for a human to actually be driven by a natural cause, and what may actually, by natural causes, what may actually cause them to decide certain things.
But I'm trying to
free will?
what I'm trying to say is that the existence of entities that can make these decisions for themselves, as opposed to being something completely alien to nature, is in fact a fundamental part of what nature is.
I have a question for the proponent side, Keely and Mel.
Yep.
I tended to get from your argument that you were suggesting that free will and having human nature are not mutually exclusive. Is that the case, or did I misinterpret what you all were saying?
Mutually exclusive in what way? Are you asking, like, are they separate from each other, or do they, like,
Can you
define
have
each
one
other?
without the other?
Um,
Can you have free will and still have nature? Your argument tends to suggest that just because one has nature, that automatically implies a destiny or a fate or predetermination.
well, I feel like nature is what can define free will, although your free will doesn't necessarily have to follow the guidelines of what nature is predetermining you to decide.
Perhaps free will could be part of my nature as a human being. To posit another third answer to the question.
But I think
I believe that's what I was actually putting there at the end with my
That free will itself is part of what
yes.
makes human nature.
But to say that humans have a predetermined nature is a statement that says that a human is bound to their nature and only their nature, and therefore can't decide using their own free will what they may make of themselves.
Unless free will is part of that nature, as being born a human being.
But I don't believe that free will is part of the nature.
Fair enough?
I think that was a very, very good debate. Complete arguments on both sides. Your side arguing more towards that physical predeterminants and natural frameworks has powerful influences and limits over the free will of man, as well as that free will itself is part of human nature. While you postulate that humans form their own destiny and are responsible and conscious beings within their possible reason. I think, in a way, the debate kind of came to a draw at a lot of equal points. It was, it's not a simple kind of black and white issue to debate, and I don't think that there was a particular side that took victory. I think both arguments are very complete.